Hey there guys, I'm Obscure Sausage here and I'm bringing you another Photoshop tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you things about text effects. So let's get straight into this and get it done as quickly as possible. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a new document and make it 1200 by 600 pixels. I've already got one open, but this is what it should look like. And we're going to set the foreground color by pressing X, or just keep the foreground color as black. And we're going to hold Alt and press backspace to fill it with black. Now, we're going to put in some text. I'm going to be using a Myriad Pro font at about 85, maybe a bit lower, 83 pixels, like that. And we're just going to go straight ahead and put in. So just type whatever you want, but make sure you're typing in white, not black like me. So switch them and make sure you're typing in white, like that. And another tip, just make sure you resize your text boxes to keep them as close to the letters as possible, just to keep your canvas nice and neat in case of any errors. So now once you've got your text like that, what we're going to do is we're going to apply some blending options. First blending option we're going to add is we're going to add a inner shadow, like this. We're going to keep the multiply the same, but we're going to change it to a white. Keep the opacity the same. We're basically going to keep all of this the same apart from the contour here, which we're going to change to a backwards L shape. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add an outer glow here, and we're going to keep it as screen, but we're going to change this opacity to 60 and the noise to 50. And then we're going to go here and we're going to change it to a kind of skin color. So we're going to do FFDB96. That will give us a nice skin colory color there. We're going to keep the technique as softer, but we're going to keep the spread the same as well, but we're going to change the size of it to 10 pixels, and then we're going to change the contour again to a hill shape here. And that's all we need to do for this part of the outer glow. And now we're going to go into the bevel and emboss, which is basically the root for any text effect, because the bevel and emboss gives it that kind of maybe 3D or smooth look to text. So we're going to keep it as inner bevel and keep it as smooth, but we're going to change the depth to about 195 or 6, whatever one. Change the size to 21 and change the soften to 10. We're going to keep all of this the same apart from the gloss contour, and we're going to be changing that to another backwards L again. And then the last two things we're going to be doing in this dialog box is just ticking the contour box there, and then applying a color overlay and giving it a kind of leafy green sort of color. And I'm going to use C6FF00 for this. And that's it. Click OK, and we've got our text there. Now the second thing we're going to do is hold Control and click in the little thumbnail. When the mouse changes to a little box, left click, and it should load a selection of your text. Now we're going to expand and feather this selection, so we're going to go to Modify, expand it by 15 pixels. Then we're going to select, modify and feather by 15 pixels again. And now we're going to take this selection, so you have to click on the selection tool, and we're going to have to take this and drag it into a grass texture, which I've got here. I will put a download link in the description for this grass texture. There will be a couple of download links for certain textures, but now that once you've loaded your selection into this grass texture, you're going to press Control C to copy it, and then we're going to go back into here and press Control V and paste it. So now we've got like a grass image cut out into the shape of our text. And basically what we're going to do with this is we are going to add some adjustment layers to it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the blending options of the whole layer to hard light. And as you can see, the text has started to show through on that already now. And now we're going to add a levels adjustment layer, and we're just going to change this one to 100 here, and then that erases any extras that were flying off of the edge and all of that. So now we're going to reselect layer 1, and we're going to get the eraser tool over here, and we're just going to basically zoom in on each letter and just erase over the parts of the grass layer that have covered up the text, so you can get more of like a better shape of the text and see the text a bit easier. So you just go over it a couple of times like that. But with the eraser you need to have certain settings. So you have to have a soft round brush, and you have to set the opacity up here and the flow here to 50% to achieve this sort of erasing. So you just want to see the letters and just go over them in the letter shape that you can see, and just go over it like that and just erase those parts. So you just want to keep on going over the letters, the different parts where they're covered up by the leaf texture that we've overlaid it on, like that, just to make the letters stand out amongst the leaves a bit more. So you just keep going over it, just keep running your mouse over it, kind of like you're painting, but just making the letters stand out and erasing it out a bit more, like that. So just keep on going over it all. As you can see, the text starts defining itself. Some missing parts of the text start coming back into the image, and stuff like that. You can start seeing the image much clearer against the leaves now, like this. You don't want to spend too much time on this, just quite literally whip through it and just try and make the image a bit stand out a bit more amongst the leaves. That's all we're doing here. Give it a couple of taps around certain areas and you'll get the image back like that. And now you can see that the text actually stands out a lot more against the leaves now, and we've got a pretty cool effect going on here so far. And this is basically the grassy effect on the text. So now we can start adding some other parts, like a wood texture, for example, with this. So I'll put another link in the description for this wood texture here. So what we're going to do is we're going to, on this image, we're going to set the, we can use, it depends how it works on your image, because we're going to draw basically a shape like this. But if it comes to something like this, then you definitely want to change the pixeling of the feather pixeling. So I'm going to change it to about 50, and you're just going to want to go through these and keep changing it until you get a desired effect. So once you've got yourself a selection, we're basically going to do the same, and again we're going to drag the selection onto the wooden texture over here, drag it on, and basically we're just going to copy a random portion and paste it back into our text document and name the newly created layer wood. So you just go like this, copy, paste back in to as wood, but you need to make sure that it's above all the rest of the layers, so it comes in like this. But if you can, paste it a couple of times, line them up underneath your text like this, and then load in your selection. So drag your selection back in to this, like here, put it around your text like that, and then what you're going to want to do is basically cut the rest of it out. So make sure, so basically grab your eraser tool, set the opacity and flow back up, and then you're just going to want to, you're going to want to control shift I to invert the selection, and now you can just basically, depending on what layer you're on, you can just go around and erase the wood layer around, so then you can get that wood shape in the same shape as your of your selection. So that's the way you do that. Now you can press Control D to deselect the selection around your wood. So now that you've got your wood selection on here, we're going to basically press Control, Alt, Shift and B to bring up the black and white adjustments layer. And basically we just follow me through on this. So you're going to go -30 for the reds, -200 for the yellows, keep the greens as 40, keep the cyanes as 60, keep the blues as 20, but change the magentas to about 300. We want to tick this tint box, and we're going to make it a much darker wood colour by changing it to a colour like 81614 for a darker wood colour, and then keep these the same, 44 and 85, and then just click OK. So now we've changed it to a more natural wood colour, and you just want to move that up just to underline it to there. Now we're going to duplicate the wood layer, so that press Control J, and we're going to go to filter, and we're going to basically put some sort of brush strokes onto the wood. So you just got to find like the artistic styled ones. If not, you can go into your filter gallery and go through it this way to find the brush strokes folder, and then we're basically gonna put ascended edges onto it. Ascended edges. Put the edge width to 4, the edge brightness to about 26, and the smoothness to 6, and click OK. That'll give the wood a bit of a blur to it. Basically we're going to change the layer blending option of the duplicated wood layer to overlay. So up here I'm going to change it to overlay, and it darkens down the wood a bit, gives it a bit more toning, adds a bit of a glowing effect as well to the wood. So basically this is the effect that we've got so far. It's looking pretty good. If you want, you can now you can highlight both of these and just move them with each other, make sure that they're nicely aligned and all that. So now we can you can keep this text effect to yourself like that, you can keep it here, or you can go on and we can add some depth to the text. And the way we do this is we do a multi-select of all the layers. So hold down the Shift key, left click the top and then the bottom. So left click, bottom. So now we've got them all selected. I don't think you want to select the background layer though, so don't select the background layer. And then hit Control T. This will open up the transform. Now we're going to distort the text until we kind of reach a sort of like a stretched sort of feel to it. You can go into like the edit part and do different types of transforming to it. So you can use a distort transform on it. So if you go into the edit and then go to transform, you can distort it, but you have to do that layer by layer. So you just want to free transform it, and you just want to, you know, stretch it out a bit, make it a bit taller, distort it a bit, basically just make it a bit longer than it is already, and then just double click just to give it a bit more of a bigger standout. So for a final touch up, we can create a new layer called cloud, and we'll call it cloud, or clouds, whatever you like. And we're going to use the lasso tool to draw a selection. Then we're going to fill the selection with a black and white render of some clouds. So basically just get the lasso tool and just draw a nice rough selection. But you want to, so you just get a little selection like that, put it over section of words. You're going to go filter, render, but make sure you've got your colors, like your foreground and background colors, are set to black and white. Then you're going to go filter, render, and clouds. That'll just render out some clouds there. You can drag the selection along again and then just do the same, and you can just press Ctrl F or just click there. So now you've got some clouds rendered in there, and now we're just going to apply some levels to the clouds layer. So press Ctrl L to do it on that certain layer. We're going to change this to 81, this one to 1.45, and keep that one as 255, and click OK. So as you can see, it's still like a bit smoky, but it's getting there. So now we're going to apply a curves adjustment layer to the layer, and so we do that by pressing Ctrl M, and we just drag this point here around there, and then we drag this point down to here onto this line like that, and just click OK. So again, it's doing the same effect, it's just moving it around, and then we just put the cloud layer just above the second, so basically just keep it where it is, right on top of everything. You can move it below, so it's below the second wood copy. You can put it completely below the wood, but you can keep it in between just to give that sort of smoky effect into here. And then you can move them around a bit if you really want to, adjust them a bit like that. Just keep it moving like that, so you get that kind of smoky, warm, naturey effect. And that's pretty much it. That's the final image. You can definitely take an eraser tool, change the opacity again down to 50, and the flow down to 50 on the clouds layer, just to go over it a bit like that, just to make the clouds stand out a little bit more. Well, the letters stand out a bit more below the clouds, but if you really want to, you just keep the opacity at 100 and the flow, and then you just go over it a bit more, and it will just work a bit better. Just going over it, and it will just brighten it up. It won't completely brighten it, but it will brighten it up a bit more. So thanks for watching the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've learnt quite a bit from this, and I hope you subscribe and like the videos, because it helps a lot, and keep checking in, because I'll keep on uploading videos. Comment in the section below to ask me what sort of effects you want me to do, what kind of a video you want me to upload next, and most of all, just keep learning, and you'll eventually become very good at Photoshop.